What's up, everyone? We're going to be going through the best NBA player props on PrizePicks today. Now, don't forget to like this video, as it does let me know to continue to give you free picks every day. So make sure to like this video, clicking that button down below. And if we get 500 likes, I will do another video for tomorrow. Now, I did want to show you the results from yesterday's picks from my exclusive Discord group. And as you guys see, we actually got 21 picks correct, which was absolutely insane. Now, a lot of you comment wanting to see how many I got wrong, and I thought I'd show you in today's video. We only got one pick wrong, got 21 right, which is a 98% win rate. Yes, guys, you heard that right. 98% win rate. So we're on a huge hot streak, but if you want to get a 98% win rate and get 21 picks right like me, win more bets and receive the best picks from some of the best bettors in the world for less than a cup of coffee, you can access the exclusive Discord and meet some of the best sport bettors in the game by joining my Patreon. Should be linked down below in the description. Once you join, you'll have complete access to the Discord and can start winning more bets today. So make sure to join my Patreon using the link in the description. And here's one of our members who just signed up and won himself $2,040 just yesterday, and another member who won $300 for the 6th day in a row since joining my Discord. So guys, if you want to win big money like our members, the link will be in the description, so go join the Patreon to have access to the Discord group, and I will be continuing to upload every single day on this channel the best bets and props, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss my daily uploads. So quick shout out to Ghost to God 585 who said good luck today, everyone, and shouts out to the Real Church of God who said I'm going for it. So shouts out to them. If you do want to win a shout out in the next video, all you have to do is comment down below on this video and like it, and you could be in the running to win a shout out in the next one. All right, so let's get straight into the first pick. And when it comes to these picks, I'm not saying to chuck all of them into a parlay and hope for the best. Pick and choose the ones that you like and the ones that work best for you. So the first pick we're going to be talking about is none other than Victor Wembanyama. So this one is for 22 points and this one is for more. Now, I do also have to mention that this is the NBA Cup, so there is only actually one game from today. So a lot of the picks, there is going to be some overlap, when it comes to teammates and also from the same game, and that is because there is only one game. So like I said, pick and choose the picks that you like. But getting into this first one, looking at Victor Wembanyama, Wemby has actually gone on the over in 4 out of the last 5 games, with one of those being a push. But we did see November 9th faced off against the New Orleans Pelicans. Actually had 18 points there. November 11th faced off against Chicago Bulls, had 38 points. Then November 13th faced off against Golden State Warriors, had 31 points. And then November 15th faced off against the Golden State Warriors again and had 26 points. Then December 14th faced off against Oklahoma City Thunder, and I had 22 points there. So it has definitely been interesting to see for someone like Victor Wembanyama, because what we actually do know is that he is somewhat coming back from injury. Yes, he did play a most recent game, but some of these other games were from a couple or a month before in that sense. So, Victor has definitely taken a couple of games off. He did come back for that OKC, and that was actually the semifinal game for the NBA Cup. So that was actually a huge one. We actually did see Victor Wembanyama do a great job and lead his team to victory, but now he comes in for his second game ever since coming back from injury, and we do like the over because we see that the San Antonio Spurs face off against the New York Knicks. Now, looking at where both of these teams are, obviously this is the finals when it comes to the NBA Cup, so this is a make or break it game for sure between both of these teams. But when we actually look at where both of these teams do lie, and during the regular season, even though these NBA Cup games do contribute towards it, we do see, starting off with San Antonio Spurs. Spurs have been able to put together quite a great show because they currently rank 4th in the Western Conference. So they have a record of 18 wins, 7 losses. That's a 72% win percentage there. And on top of that, they are 9-2 from home, 8-5 from away, and are currently on a 3-game losing streak. So very interesting to see there. Now, looking at someone like Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs, they have been able to put together quite a great case of why they are one of the best teams in the Western Conference. Now, obviously, Victor was away for some time, and now that he is back, they are definitely in full force for sure. So it is definitely going to be an exciting game. They face off against the New York Knicks, and New York Knicks had themselves a great battle to get to these finals, but we do know that they do rank 2nd in the Eastern Conference, and they have a record of 18 wins and 7 losses. So that's a 72% win percentage there. They're also 13-1 from home, 4-6 from away, and are currently on a 5-game win streak. So very, very interesting to see there. Now coming into this matchup, we do also know when it comes to Victor Wembanyama, he faces off against a New York Knicks team that do rank when it comes to points allowed. They do rank 4th. So New York Knicks have been a great defensive team, and also in general have also done a great job, time and time again. So coming into this situation, a big reason why we do very much like the over for this situation here is that when we look at someone like Victor Wembanyama, is that we actually see that he does play that big man position. And what we do see when it comes to actually New York Knicks and also the matchup against San Antonio Spurs, we do know that New York Knicks do a very, very poor job at restricting points to the big man position. Now, whether that's power forward or center that Victor does end up playing, Victor is definitely the main big man for this Spurs team, and it is definitely very, very evident. And although New York Knicks do like to, play great defense, that we don't really see that New York Knicks have a lot of defensive focus on star players. They like to play all 5 players that they are up against and match them up perfectly as much as they can. So we aren't really expecting, extra focus on someone like Victor Wembanyama. Of course, they will try their best to stop it, but we aren't expecting, that insane pressure that we have seen from other, teams and their sort of defensive matchups that they like to run. When it comes to Victor, we are expecting Knicks to, matching up with someone like Karl-Anthony Towns mano a mano, and we definitely see someone like Victor being able to go on the over in this situation here. Now, Victor has done a great job as well, time and time again, and obviously his volume of shooting is very high for this roster, and coming into an NBA Cup final game, which is not only just very important, but Victor is definitely also coming back from injury. He's got fresh legs on him, and coming into this matchup, we should see him do a lot of damage there. So I definitely do very much like the over for this one. Now, when we look at what the bookies are saying, bookies also have him favored for the over as well. So that works out in our favor there. So for that reason, Victor Wembanyama, 22 points, 4 more, I think is a fantastic pick. Now, getting into the next pick, we're actually going to be talking about assists for actually Jaylen Brunson for 6.5, and this one actually is for less. Now, looking at Jaylen Brunson, we have seen him go on the under in 3 out of the last 5 games. Now, looking at those 5 games, it's definitely been interesting because we see on December 4th, faced off against Charlotte Hornets, actually had 5 assists there. Then December 6th, faced off against Utah Jazz, had 4 assists in that matchup. Then December 8th, faced off against Orlando Magic, had 9 assists there. December 10th, faced off against Toronto Raptors, had 4 assists, and then 8 assists against Orlando on December 14th. So it's definitely been really interesting for Jaylen Brunson. As we mentioned before, we have seen him go on the under quite consistently, going on the under in 3 out of the last 5 games. But what we also do see when it comes to this matchup is that New York Knicks, find themselves in a position where they face off against Spurs, where Jaylen Brunson in the last 5 games is also averaging only 6 assists, which is not only, pretty low compared to his averages, but on a consistent basis, we have definitely seen him go on the under, quite consistently there. Now, as we mentioned before, New York Knicks face off against the San Antonio Spurs, so it is definitely going to be a very, very interesting game for sure. Now, just to quickly remind you all again where both these teams do lie, New York Knicks come in at the 2nd spot in the Eastern Conference. Now, they actually have a record that puts them with 18 wins and 7 losses. That's a 72% win percentage. But over the last 10 games, they've actually had a record of 9-1. So, New York Knicks have been able to put together quite a great case on why they are one of the best teams in the actual Eastern Conference. So it is definitely going to be a great battle there. Now, when it comes to Jaylen Brunson and the New York Knicks, they face off against a Spurs team who have also done very well for themselves. However, in the Western Conference, and they have a record of that's put them in the 4th spot in the Western Conference with a record of 18 wins, 7 losses, a 72% win percentage there, but are also 8-5 from away, 9-2 from home, but over the last 10 games have actually had a record of 7 7-3. So very, very interesting to see. Obviously, looking at someone like Jaylen Brunson, we have seen him do a great job for this actual, New York Knicks team. But when it comes to a matchup like this, where it is the NBA Final Cup on the line, we are expecting Jaylen Brunson's usage rate in the assist department to kind of diminish and to focus a lot more on actually scoring. And we have seen that over the last couple of games. Even, when it comes to Jaylen Brunson, his natural play style isn't really to dish out quite a lot. Yes, he will get assists here and there, but when it comes to 6.5 assists, we definitely see that being just a little bit too high for our liking. Now, coming into this matchup between both of these teams, we aren't really expecting the pace to be anything, increased in that sense, because, we have seen times or time and time again where New York Knicks, their pace is definitely sped up due to other faster paced teams. But with a matchup against Spurs, we aren't really expecting that from this game for sure. So we aren't going to see any extra volume due to the pace of this matchup. And for someone like Jaylen Brunson, who's also just struggled over the last, 5 games getting on the over for this line, especially was only able to go on the over against Orlando twice. It definitely was against a much easier team when it comes to assists, and looking at a team like San Antonio Spurs when it comes to assists allowed. Yes, they do rank a little bit lower as they rank 19th, but when you look on a per position basis, you see a very different story, because San Antonio Spurs do a fantastic job at restricting assists to the guard position, and unfortunately for Jaylen Brunson, we definitely see that being a big case on why we do like the under for it. So for that reason, I definitely would keep an eye out for the under for someone like Jaylen Brunson coming into this game. Now, when it comes to Jaylen Brunson and this line, when we look at what the bookies are saying, bookies also have him favored for the under as well. That works out in our favor there. So for that reason, definitely keep an eye out for someone like Jaylen Brunson here. So Jaylen Brunson, 6.5 assists for less, I think is a fantastic pick. Now, getting into the next one, we're actually going to be talking about Karl-Anthony Towns. So Karl-Anthony Towns, we all know, great player. This one is for 11 rebounds, and this one actually is for less. Now, looking at Karl-Anthony Towns, we have seen him go on the under in 3 out of the last 5 games. Now, looking at those 5 games, you see on December 3rd, faced off against Boston Celtics, had 7 rebounds there. December 4th, faced off against Charlotte, had 18 rebounds. Then December 6th, faced off against Utah, had 9 rebounds in that matchup. And then December 10th, faced off against Toronto Raptors, had 16 rebounds. Then 8 rebounds against Orlando on December 14th. So it's definitely been very interesting to see when it comes to actually Karl-Anthony Towns. We have definitely seen him, go on the under quite consistently, going on the under in 3 out of the last 5 games. What we also do see is that his average over the last 5 is 11.6. So even though he has gone on the under more than he's gone on the over, his average over the last 5 is still above this line. And that's definitely due to the fact that when you look at some of the games that he has gone on the over, it was outlier type matchups. He did and was able to get advantage of, poor, rebounding teams. Did take advantage. He did go on the over, but now I do believe it's brought this line a little bit too high, especially against a matchup like San Antonio Spurs, who they do face off against. Now, we have already touched on where both these teams do rank, so I don't think I need to touch on that again. But looking at actually San Antonio Spurs and where they do rank when it comes to actually rebounds allowed, we see that San Antonio Spurs, although have fallen a little bit due to the fact that Victor Wembanyama has been injured, they do actually rank 7th when it comes to rebounds allowed. But at one point early on in the season, before Wemby got injured, they were in that top 3 and made a very, very good case. Now, they do rank 7th and also only allow, which is still very good, 41.5 rebounds. So they still do a very, very good job. And although Karl-Anthony Towns is a great player, his usage rate as of lately has definitely been on the lower side, which we do believe is definitely going to have a huge effect coming into this matchup. So for that reason, I definitely would keep an eye out for the actual, under for a situation like this. Now, looking on a per position basis, I think it is pretty obvious, but San Antonio Spurs do a fantastic job at restricting rebounds to the big man position. And that's definitely due to none other than Victor Wembanyama, leading that charge. But Coming into this one, it is definitely going to be an exciting one, as we do know Karl-Anthony Towns, although is a great player, we are expecting him to really struggle on the rebounding side of things, especially with a matchup against someone who is, 7'4", or, rumored to actually be taller. So Victor Wembanyama is going to cause a lot of havoc for the paint and cause a lot of havoc for rebounds for the opposing team, such as for someone like Karl-Anthony Towns. And that's just a big reason why we do very much like the under for this one. Now, as we mentioned as well, back with the other picks, when we look at what the bookies are saying, bookies also have him favored for the under as well. So all really shows good signs that we do like the under for it. And for someone like Karl-Anthony Towns, we definitely see him going on the under here. So Karl-Anthony Towns, 11 rebounds for less, I think is a fantastic pick. So getting into the next pick, as I mentioned, all are from the same actual game, but this is another great one to definitely take a look at. And like I said, pick and choose the ones that you like. But this one is for Stephan Castle for 5.5 assists, and this one actually is for less. Now, looking at Stephan Castle, we have seen him do a fantastic job for his team, but when it comes to the assist side of things, we have seen him go on the under in 3 out of the last 5 games. So this definitely is interesting to see. We actually do know when it comes to, his last 5 games, November 15th, we saw him face off against the Golden State Warriors and actually had 6 assists there. After that, November 17th, faced off against Sacramento Kings, had 5 assists in that matchup. December 9th, faced off against the New Orleans Pelicans, had 5 assists there. Had 6 assists against LA Lakers on December 11th. And then December 14th, faced off against Oklahoma City Thunder and had 2 assists there. So definitely very interesting to see. Now, when it comes to actually Stephan Castle, what we do know is that not only is he going on the under in 3 out of the last 5 games, but his average over the last 5 is also 4.8. So he definitely has been struggling when it comes to the assist line, and it's not really due to anything about him per se, but more just his play style is a little bit more focused on other aspects of this game. And for that reason, with a matchup like this, especially with Victor Wembanyama back, we kind of are expecting it for it to continue and for him to focus a little bit more on scoring and things of that nature. Now, looking at someone like Stephan Castle, we have not only just seen him go on the under in 3 out of the last 5, but we do know that the San Antonio Spurs have themselves a great matchup against the New York Knicks. So just to quickly remind you again where both of these teams do lie, starting off with the Spurs. Spurs come in at the 4th spot in the Western Conference. They have a record of 18 wins and 7 losses. That's a 72% win percentage there. And on top of that, they are 9-2 from home, 8-5 from away, and are currently on a 3-game win streak. So, we definitely have seen them do a fantastic job, especially with a good amount of time without Victor Wembanyama. And facing off against the New York Knicks, Knicks are also a very good team because they come in at the 2nd spot in the Eastern Conference. They have a record of 18 wins and 7 losses. That's a 72% win percentage there. They're also 13-1 from home, 4-6 from away, and are currently on a 5-game win streak. So very interesting to see. Obviously, looking at actually Stephan Castle and the matchup against the Knicks, we do know, looking at New York Knicks defensively, we do know New York Knicks do rank 9th when it comes to assists allowed. So we have known this for some time now, but New York Knicks are a great defensive team. They've been able to string, together some great defensive kind of performances because they do rank very well in that category and rank well in other categories as well. But a big thing about this is that what we also do see when it comes to this is that when it comes to Stephan Castle, who is a guard, we do know that, New York Knicks do a fantastic job at restricting, assists to the guard position. So, unfortunately, we do see Stephan Castle going on the under here, and the fact that when you look at his usage rate, in those last 5 games, he definitely has struggled at, kind of reaching this line. Even the times he has gone on the over, it's only been over by 0.5. So coming into a matchup like this, we are expecting the under for sure. Now, looking at Stephan Castle against New York Knicks in the past, now these are actually from last season, so take this with a grain of salt, but I still think it's very important to mention it. But obviously, the 25th, we saw, Stephan Castle actually face off against them on the 25th of December, actually had 6 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists there. Then we saw Stephan Castle on the 19th faced off against, New York Knicks again, and in that season, we also saw him have 22 points, 3 rebounds and 3 assists there. So very, very interesting to see. Obviously, looking at that was from last season. So as I mentioned, take it with a grain of salt. But I think overall, we have seen Stephan Castle not really be too much of a playmaker for this San Antonio Spurs team. And when it comes to that, we definitely see him going on the under once again. So for that reason, I definitely would keep an eye out for the under for someone like Stephan Castle. When we look at his averages and also what the bookies are saying, as the bookies have him favored for the under as well, it really all points towards the under for this one. So for that reason, definitely keep an eye out for it. So Stephan Castle, 5.5 assists for less, I think is a fantastic pick. Now, getting into the next one, we're actually going to be talking about none other than Josh Hart. So Josh Hart, great player, as we all know. And this one is a fantastic one for 8 rebounds. And this one actually is for less. Now, looking at Josh Hart, we have seen him go on the under actually in 4 out of the last 5 games. Now, one of them is a push, however, but looking at those 5 games more, in depth, we do see December 4th faced off against the Charlotte Hornets, had 8 rebounds there. Then December 6th faced off against Utah Jazz, had 6 rebounds. December 8th faced off against Orlando, had 12 rebounds there. Then December 10th faced off against Toronto Raptors, had 6 rebounds. And then December 14th faced off against Orlando Magic and had 6 rebounds there. So very, very interesting to see. Now, obviously, coming into this matchup, we do know not only has he gone on the under in 4 out of the last 5, but his average over the last 5 has also been 7.6. So it's definitely been pretty interesting because Josh Hart is known to be a big rebounder for this team, but we have actually seen it change quite a bit. And it's definitely due to the fact that we have seen a bit of a change in game plan when it comes to the New York Knicks and how they play Josh Hart. Now, they also have faced off against some pretty tough teams, and unfortunately, they face off against another tough team once again because they face off against the San Antonio Spurs, as we've mentioned. Now, when it comes to San Antonio Spurs rebounding-wise, we do know, I think we're just going to skip past the standings, but so Spurs do rank 7th when it actually comes to rebounds allowed, and they were actually ranking a little bit higher before Victor actually got injured. But there is a really telltale sign to us on Spurs being a great defensive team. Not only are they a very tall team, they're aggressive, hustle very hard on defense, and the fact that Victor Wembanyama is back, unfortunately, we are expecting, Josh Hart to really have no hope at getting these rebounds. And the low usage rate that he has had as of lately, it definitely does showcase that New York Knicks are going with some different game plans, and it has definitely affected, their actual kind of play style a bit, and also Josh Hart's usage rate in the rebounding sector. And that's why coming into this next one, we do very much like the under for it. Now, for someone like Josh Hart, when we look at his matchups against San Antonio Spurs, now this was from last season, so as I mentioned, take it with a grain of salt, but I definitely still see it as, definitely mentioning, as I always do. We saw on the actual 25th of December in 2024, had 12 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists there. Then we saw on the 19th of actually March in 2025, had 2.7 rebounds, 7 assists there. So as I've mentioned, take it with a grain of salt, but I definitely still see it being very, good to mention, and maybe it can definitely help you in helping decide that for sure. But coming into this one, we do still very much like the under for someone like Josh Hart. As we've always mentioned before, we like to take a look at what the bookies are saying. Bookies also have him favored for the under as well. And even though there is only one game for today, there are a lot of great picks. So Josh Hart, 8 rebounds for less, I think is a fantastic pick. Now, I did also want to leave you with also a great actual, Goblin pick. And I think this one is quite an obvious one, and there's a reason why I'm showing it to you, but that's actually 7.5 rebounds for Victor Wembanyama. Now, this really doesn't need any explanation. We know who Victor Wembanyama is. We know what his capabilities out there are on the floor, and we have seen him be able to absolutely beat this line very quickly and on such a big occasional basis. Now, New York Knicks, yes, they do have great rebounders. Yes, they do have great bigs for sure. But when it comes to rebounding, I don't really see them putting up a fight against someone who is 7'4" or, probably even taller than that. But someone of his, Victor Wembanyama's caliber, we definitely don't really see him struggling here. He should be able to get those rebounds, be able to take advantage of it, and just go on the over pretty easily for this Goblin pick. So, Goblin picks are definitely the ones to keep an eye out for, especially in a day like this where there aren't a lot of NBA games. I do believe, chucking in this 7.5 rebounds pick with maybe another parlay, maybe mixing it up with other sports. I think that's a great pick there. So definitely keep an eye out for Victor Wembanyama, 7.5 rebounds as the Goblin pick for more.